Now, this campaign, the way Donald Trump sees it. The GOP nominee grew introspective this morning during a rally in Sarasota.
This is the last day of our campaign. Who would have believed this? Who would have believed it? It's been some campaign, too. It's been some campaign. They say it's the single greatest movement, politically speaking, in the history of this country. Can you believe that? Can you believe it?
For more on this election eve, we're pleased to be joined by Congressman Peter King. Peter serves on both the Intelligence and Homeland Security committees. He's joining us tonight via telephone. Pete, we really appreciate your time. And before we get to politics, let's isolate on the, quote, threat surrounding Election Day. A U.S. law enforcement official tells CBS News investigators are looking for individuals who may have some information about a threat from al-Qaeda. We have heard that ISIS is encouraging attacks on voters and polling places tomorrow. What have you heard, Pete?
Yeah, J.D., without going into details, what you just said is accurate. There have been reports of a threat from the Middle East, from al-Qaeda, and then ISIS apparently has been encouraging its supporters. Now, it's not known how credible the threat is, how reliable it is, but I can tell you cops and others that I know on the JTTF, NYPD, they are operating, they are taking it very seriously. In fact, I was talking to my daughter, my sister, who is active in the medical profession, and she's been told, asked not to go very far from the hospitals over the next few days. So they are preparing. What they're doing mainly is going out, questioning and talking to people who are possible suspects. Now, not so much suspects, but people who may know something that might be happening. They may have picked something up in the community. Now, my understanding is also, though, that CARE, the Committee on American Islamic Relations, which is, to me, a front, and they've been named as an unindicted co-conspirator in a major terrorist case, but they get tremendous billing from the New York Times and the mainstream media. They are telling Muslims not to cooperate, that they should not talk to the FBI unless they have a lawyer present. So much for cooperation. So anyway, that's basically where it's at right now.
So it sounds as if our enemies want to sow the seeds of panic. Politically speaking, there's a different type of panic that we're seeing nationwide. For example, in South Florida, it appears the left is in that panic mode. There is a new ad running aimed directly at the very large Jewish population of southern Florida. The ad is entitled One Word. Let's take a look at it, then we'll get your feedback.
You gotta listen to this one because this is pretty heavy stuff. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of the Jews entering the United States.
All right, so what they do in this ad is they find a guy to impersonate Donald Trump. They change the word Muslims to Jews. Now, what does that tell you about this Hillary supporting PAC and what they're trying to do in South Florida?
Absolutely disgraceful, absolutely shameful, no basis in fact whatsoever. It's a total lie. What they're trying to do is scare the Jewish community into believing that Donald Trump is anti-Semitic, ignoring the fact that his daughter is a convert to Orthodox Judaism, and actually is very strict about it. She observes the Sabbath. She eats kosher food only. And but in any event, apart from all that, it's a shameful, and that is the worst possible thing you can be doing in a campaign. And it shows, more than that, it shows that the Hillary people must be very, very desperate in Florida, or at least this PAC supporting her is very desperate and very concerned.
There is something else we would be remiss if we did not discuss with you. I guess we could call it the Sunday surprise, since we're past October. That announcement of the FBI investigation that isn't James Comey, again, in essence, clearing Mrs. Clinton from criminal exposure in the email scandal. It's an issue that did not slip by Donald Trump earlier today in Sarasota, Florida. Let's look and listen.
Nobody in this room can believe what's going on with the FBI and what's going on with the Department of Justice. Nobody. Nobody can. Nobody can believe it. I'm asking for your vote so we can repeal and replace Obamacare and save health care for every family in Florida and in our great country.
So obviously Trump on the stump, he's hitting Obamacare, but when you go back to the FBI, he has pointed out what I'm sure you and others in Congress are asking: how can the FBI go through, what, 650,000 emails in just 8 days, especially if the reports that they never even talked to Hillary's maid? And you remember the lead story over the weekend in the New York Post that Hillary's maid was making copies of classified information, and she obviously didn't have any security clearance.
No, she didn't, and I have not heard that they spoke to Uma Abedin in this last 10 days either, or last 9 days. They certainly haven't spoken to Hillary Clinton. And when Comey says he stands by the previous conclusions, does that mean that there was more classified material on that computer? So the fact that nothing new may be there, but if it's more of the same, that just makes that, to me, makes it clearly gross negligence. I mean, that she would allow this type of material to be on Uma Abedin's computer and not knowing or not caring to know that Anthony Weiner was also involved. That, to me, definitely should meet the statutory definition of gross negligence. Also, though, J.D., is that when Uma Abedin, when she spoke to the FBI and also under oath in the Judicial Watch case, she said she had turned over all her devices to the FBI. Well, now we know that there was this one with 610,000 emails on it that she didn't turn over. Is that lying to the FBI? Is that a crime? It is a crime if you lie to the FBI. If you say, and also then if she did lie, they should be questioning her. Was Hillary Clinton aware of that? Did she discuss this with Hillary Clinton at all? So how you can conclude an investigation like this in 9 days is absolutely beyond me. And, Jim Comey, who I had respect for, but again, when he announced it in July, I was almost willing to accept that, even though I thought he certainly could have recommended a prosecution. But then when you realize it was all this information they had not looked for and not gotten, and then he makes the announcement 9 days ago, and then 9 days after that he changes it. To me, this is not conduct or behavior that you expect from the chief law enforcement officer in the United States.
Hey, Pete, just one final question. TMZ reports Hillary's campaign team has pulled the plug on election night fireworks in New York. Does the campaign doubt itself? About 5 seconds.
Yes, they do. They very much doubt it. They are nervous. And I know people who know people in the Democratic camp. They are very, very nervous about this.
Pete King, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, J.D.